I mean, when I grew up with New Edition, we smoked weed, we drank beers and things like that. But it destroys people.
Why did Bobby Brown never forgive his New Edition bandmates? Was it just about music, or was there something deeper? New Edition was one of the biggest R&B groups, but behind the scenes there was drama. Bobby was kicked out of the group and he never got over it. Did they betray him? Did success create jealousy? Let's dive into why Bobby Brown could never forgive them. Bobby Brown, Ricky Bell, and Michael Bivins grew up together in Boston. They were childhood friends who loved to sing. Even when they were in elementary school, they would sing on the streets to make some extra money. At first it was just for fun, but soon they realized they had something special. They decided to form a boy band. To make their group stronger, they added 2 more members, Ralph Tresvant and Ronnie DeVoe. Now they had 5 voices and they were ready to take their music to the next level.
The New Edition story, right? Generations of people that weren't attached to us initially right now are waiting to come see us.
The boys worked hard. They sang at every chance they got. They performed at local events and talent shows. One of the biggest talent shows they entered was the Hollywood Talent Night. They didn't win first place, but their performance of the Jackson 5 song The Love You Save caught the attention of many people. One of those people was Morris Starr, a music producer. He saw their talent and invited them to his studio the very next day.
Hey, listen, we were 12 when we put New Edition together, right?
That day changed their lives forever. The boys recorded their first song, and in February 1983, they released their first single, Candy Girl. At first, not many people knew who they were, but that changed quickly. The song became a big hit. It reached the top of the R&B charts and even made it onto the Billboard Hot 100. People everywhere started listening to their music. Candy Girl was the song that made New Edition famous. Later that year, they released their first full album, also called Candy Girl. Maurice Starr and Arthur Baker worked on the album with them. It had 10 songs, and many of them became fan favorites. Some of the songs were Should Have Never Told Me, Jealous Girl, and She Gives Me a Bang. 2 of the biggest hits from the album were Is This the End and Popcorn Love. Both songs became very popular on the R&B charts. This proved that New Edition was not just a one-hit wonder, but Bobby wasn't happy in the group. He wanted New Edition to change their style, but the other members didn't agree. In 1986, Bobby Brown left the group and started his solo career. In the BET movie The New Edition Story, it was shown that Bobby Brown started doing things on stage that didn't match the group's clean image. He added sexual dance moves, missed performances, and began smoking marijuana. The group didn't like this. They started cutting his solos. One time in 1985, during a performance, Bobby got so mad that he threw a microphone at his bandmate, Michael Bivins. Bobby later said in an interview that he felt the group was holding him back. "I wanted to grow as a performer and as a man," he told the New York Post. He also told BET, "I felt restricted. I felt they didn't want me to do anything. I felt that anything I did on stage was going to make everybody mad." New Edition also had money problems. The group went on tour with Grandmaster Flash and expected to make a lot of money. But when the tour ended, they were shocked to learn they only made $1.87 each. "It was surreal," Ralph Tresvant said. Ricky Bell said he was so naive that he didn't even realize they were being ripped off. They were young and didn't understand the business side of the music industry. Even though Bobby Brown was the one who started New Edition, the other members decided to vote him out. Ralph Tresvant said Bobby was becoming a problem because he stopped caring about the group. He would show up late or not come at all. Ricky Bell said that keeping Bobby in the group could have ruined their careers. Their record deal was in danger, and the only way to save it was to remove Bobby. Bobby admitted that he always wanted to be a solo artist. He said, "I never lied to them. They knew I wanted to be solo, but I was causing so much conflict with how I performed and how they performed. I was growing up fast, and they were growing up fast. It was only a matter of time before everything went down." After leaving New Edition, Bobby Brown became a big star on his own. His solo career took off, and he became known for his hit songs and wild lifestyle. He released his album Don't Be Cruel in 1988, which had hit songs like My Prerogative and Every Little Step. His music was different from New Edition's, and fans loved it. Brown has had a long history of drug use and addiction. "Once I heard they voted me out, that's when I went home, and that's when I got into some crazy S," he said. But Brown's departure caused more harm than good. While he went off to produce the hits Don't Be Cruel and Every Little Step, New Edition recruited Gil. They went on a hiatus in 1990 when Tresvant launched a solo career, and DeVoe, Bell, and Bivens formed their own group. They eventually reunited in 1996, but the drama didn't end there. Later on, fans wanted them back together, so the group promised a reunion and signed a contract to make one more album with MCA Records. This album was called Home Again, and it was their first new album in 8 years. When it came out, it was a huge hit. It went to #1 on both the Billboard 200 chart and the R&B albums chart. The album also went double platinum in the United States, meaning it sold millions of copies. It even had some big hits like Hit Me Off and I'm Still in Love with You. Despite the success of the album, the reunion tour in 1997 didn't go as well. Even though the group hadn't toured together for almost 10 years, old problems between the members came back. A big fight broke out during a concert in Las Cruces, New Mexico. As Bobby Brown was doing his solo set, Michael Bivens tried to pull him off the stage. This upset Brown, and a fight started between the two of them. The fight got so bad that security guards from both sides got involved, and there were even guns. The concert had to stop. After the fight, Bobby Brown and Michael Bivens left the tour early. The other members, Ricky Bell, Ronnie DeVoe, Johnny Gill, and Ralph Tresvant, finished the tour without them. Bobby Brown later admitted in an interview that he had been drinking during the tour. After this incident, the group members went their separate ways again, and this time it was for good. They weren't friends anymore, and they took an indefinite break from New Edition. It looked like the group was done for good.
And everybody on the same page in the group is really challenging.
But you figure when you're young, it's
do.
ego. But
Right.
now when you get a little older, you be like, it's about the check. I gotta go feed the family. So
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's the only thing you...
And then came 2014, New Edition got back together for a big tour. All the original members were there, but Bobby Brown had to leave some shows because his ex-wife, Whitney Houston, passed away. Later, during another reunion tour, Bobby had to leave the stage because he had trouble finishing a dance move. His team said he had to go through some medical treatment and needed help. Bobby said sorry to the fans. He really wanted to be there with the group but couldn't give them what they expected at that time. In 2022, Bobby Brown joined New Edition again for their The Culture Tour. This time things were different. Bobby had been through a lot in his life, but he said it felt good to be back and doing what he loves, which is performing for his fans. He said it was a special moment for him. Johnny Gill, one of Bobby's bandmates, noticed how much Bobby had changed. He said that watching Bobby rehearse made him realize how much Bobby had grown over the years. Johnny believed the fans would really enjoy watching Bobby on stage again. Bobby's return to the stage shows how much he has overcome and how much he still loves making music.
We did drugs together. There was no introducing her to anything. She already knew what she knew about drugs.
Bobby Brown's early years were marked by health challenges. As a child, he was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, ADD, which affected his ability to focus and concentrate. Later, at the age of 32, Brown was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which brought additional struggles to his life. These conditions made it harder for him to manage his emotions and behavior, and unfortunately, they contributed to his later struggles with addiction. Bobby Brown's life was marked by a long battle with drugs and alcohol.
I mean, when I grew up with New Edition, we smoked weed, we drank beers, and things like that.
He admitted that marijuana was his preferred drug in his younger years, but things changed after meeting the famous singer Whitney Houston. Brown revealed that he never used cocaine until he met Houston, but after their relationship started, he began using it along with other substances. His addiction grew worse over time, and at one point he was involved in cooking cocaine and even using heroin. These addictions took a heavy toll on his life, affecting his health, career, and relationships.
I didn't get into really heavy drugs until I met Whitney, but it destroys people.
In addition to his personal struggles with addiction, Bobby Brown also found himself in dangerous situations. One of the most shocking events was when he was kidnapped by a street gang called the Preacher Crew. The gang had taken Brown because of a $25,000 drug debt. Whitney Houston, at that time his partner, paid a large ransom of $400,000 to free him from the gang. The gang had even threatened to kill Brown if the ransom was not paid. Despite the serious nature of this incident, it was never reported to the police, and it remained a secret until years later. This event highlighted just how deep into the world of drugs Brown had gone and how dangerous his lifestyle had become. Bobby Brown's legal problems began early in his life and continued for many years. His first arrest was in a restaurant where he was charged with disorderly conduct after refusing to leave when his brother was arrested. As his drug problems worsened, so did his encounters with the law. Brown was involved in a violent incident in which he and two friends were accused of beating up a man at a nightclub. Though the charges were dropped after the victim settled the case. He was also arrested for battery after an incident with a hotel security guard, and he was charged with driving under the influence after crashing Whitney Houston's car into a sign. Later, in another case, Brown was arrested for allegedly slapping a woman's bottom at a hotel, but this case was dropped due to a lack of evidence. Brown's trouble with the law didn't stop there. Over the years, he faced multiple arrests related to unpaid child support. At one point, Brown was sent to jail for violating probation after failing a drug test. He spent 26 days in jail after being arrested by U.S. Customs agents. Later, he was sentenced to serve time for missing child support payments. One of the most serious charges came in the form of battery after he allegedly struck his wife Whitney Houston and threatened to hurt her. Police reported that Houston had visible injuries to her face. These legal issues affected not only his personal life but also his career, as his public image became tied to his run-ins with the law. Bobby Brown's struggles continued throughout his life. He was arrested several times for drunk driving, and on one occasion, he spent time in a rehabilitation center as part of a court deal. In another instance, he was sentenced to jail for violating probation after his second drunk driving arrest. Despite his efforts to get his life back on track, his legal issues persisted.
It took me probably 16 years of going in and out of different rehabs or, back and forth from sober to, relapse.
Also, Ricky Bell went through a tough battle with addiction. This struggle was kept hidden from the public for a long time, but it came to light in 2017 when the BET docuseries The New Edition Story aired. Fans were shocked to learn that Ricky had dealt with drugs, just like his bandmate Bobby Brown. But unlike Bobby, Ricky had kept his struggles mostly private. The docuseries revealed that Ricky's addiction started in the mid-1990s, during the time when New Edition was working on their Home Again album. Before this, Ricky had tried marijuana and some other substances, but it wasn't until he met his now wife, Amy Correa, that things took a dangerous turn. Amy introduced him to ecstasy, and later, a drug dealer gave him a free bag of cocaine. This was the start of Ricky's downward spiral into addiction.
Probably just sold everything I had, even down to one time I remember selling my boots, my Timberland boots.
Really?
that had like, you know, like I designed my.
Ricky soon found himself addicted to cocaine, OxyContin, and alcohol. The drugs began to take over his life. His finances suffered, and his addiction became so expensive that he lost his home. He started selling everything he owned just to feed his habit. Ricky's life hit rock bottom when one night his wife Amy found him unconscious in the bathroom after an overdose. This was a close call, and though the overdose was kept a secret, Ricky realized he needed help and went to rehab.
It was really hard. I mean, as difficult and painful that you would think or imagine, it was all of that because it's someone you love, and when you put drugs in the picture.
Today, Ricky is clean and living a much happier life with his wife Amy, whom he has been married to for nearly 15 years. Ricky shared his story publicly to help others who are going through the same struggles he did. On social media, he wrote, "I share my closely guarded story of pain and addiction for the sole purpose of gifting hope and inspiration to those who may be suffering as I once did. It is my helping hand to you. Grab a hold and don't let it go, because I won't. With every fiber of gratitude in me, I thank you. God bless us all." For Ricky, drugs had a strong grip on him, turning him into a person he didn't want to be.
In one sense, it doesn't have to do with the ownership of the name, but it does have to do with differences. You know, the reason why all 6 of us are not sitting here right now.
Also, there was a big fight between the members of the group, and it almost ended everything. The trouble started after their life story was made into a TV show called The New Edition Story. The show was a big hit, and many people watched it. But after the show, 2 members, Johnny Gill and Ralph Tresvant, made a shocking move. They found out that nobody had legally claimed the name New Edition, so they decided to do it themselves. The other 4 members, Ricky Bell, Mike Bivens, Bobby Brown, and Ronnie DeVoe, were not happy. They felt left out and angry because Johnny and Ralph didn't tell them before making this decision. This caused a big argument, and the group split into 2 sides. Johnny and Ralph worked together and made new music. Meanwhile, Ricky, Mike, Bobby, and Ronnie started their own group called RBBM. They made songs and went on tour, but things were not the same. Sadly, neither group did very well. Fans missed seeing all 6 members together. New Edition was always a group full of love and great music, and people wanted them back. After many years, the 6 men finally talked and fixed their problems. Mike Bivens shared online that they signed papers to share the New Edition name. Now they are one group again. Fans are happy, and maybe they will make new music soon. Now let's briefly talk about their earlier career. At the start of their journey, New Edition finished their first big concert tour. Things weren't as glamorous as expected. When they returned home, the boys were given a check for just $1.87 each. It was explained that the expenses from the tour took up most of the money, leaving them with a tiny payment. This upset the group. Feeling frustrated with their situation, the group decided to split from Maurice Starr in 1984. Starr quickly created a new group called A New Kids on the Block, which was similar to New Edition but with white teenagers. Meanwhile, New Edition hired a law firm to help them get out of their contract with Starr. They won the case, and the group was free to sign a better deal with MCA Records. With a new management team in place, including Stephen Machat, Rick Smith, and Bill Dern, the group's popularity grew even more. They started to gain attention in both urban and pop music circles, which helped them reach a wider audience. MCA released their second album, New Edition, through a production company called Jump and Shoot. The album's success was huge, earning the group double platinum certification and giving them 2 big hits, Cool It Now and Mr. Telephone Man. Their second album, which was released in 1984, was even more successful than their first. It sold over 2 million copies and included hits like Cool It Now and Mr. Telephone Man, which made it to the top 5 on the charts. This was a big achievement for the group, who had faced so many struggles before. New Edition was working hard to promote their second album, but they soon found out something shocking. They were not signed directly to MCA Records like they thought. Instead, they were signed to a company called Jump and Shoot, which had a deal with MCA. This meant that New Edition did not have control over their own career. All the important business decisions were made by Jump and Shoot. This made things very difficult for the group. The members wanted to be free from this deal, but getting out was not easy. They needed a lot of money to break their contract with Jump and Shoot. Each member had to borrow $100,000 from MCA. This money helped them sign a direct deal with MCA, but now they had a big debt. To pay it back, they had to keep making music and touring. They had no choice but to work even harder. In 1985, they released their third album, All for Love. It was not as big as their second album, but it still sold 1 million copies. Songs like Count Me Out and With You All the Way were popular. Even with so many struggles, New Edition never gave up. Their success kept growing. New Edition has worked hard and made great music. They have won many awards for their talent and effort. One of the most important awards they won is the American Music Award for Favorite Soul R&B Band Duo Group. They won this award twice because of their great songs and performances. Their album Heartbreak was also very popular and earned them the Soul Train Award for Best R&B Urban Contemporary Album of the Year. The success of this album showed how loved they were by their fans. They also won a Soul Train Award for their album Home Again in the Best R&B Soul Album, Group, Band, or Duo category. This shows how they continued to make good music and stay on top. In addition to these, New Edition received a special Lifetime Achievement Award from the Soul Train Awards. This is a big honor given to artists who have done amazing work over the years. New Edition's work was also honored when they got their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is a special honor that shows how important they are in the world of music. Their star is now on Hollywood Boulevard, where other big stars are celebrated. They also received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. This shows how much people appreciate their influence on music.